Oh, look at that, 11:02. So we'll start with the interview. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm here with Rion Paige, and we're just going to talk about all the things, well, starting with coffee, as we did, disability awareness, and just getting to know more about her journey in college and that sort of thing. Actually, which is what I would love to start with. How has college been for you? Like I was kind of mentioning earlier, I saw that you posted a little portion of your project on ADA regulations and policies. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, college for me has taken different shape every single year. I went into college really thinking like I'm not going to be able to get dressed. I had like an extra twin bed inside of my dorm room because I was like, my mom's going to have to come stay with me. I went into it just feeling really discouraged and just like I was like, okay, how is this going to work? What is this going to look like? And a lot of unknowns my freshman year. And then I soon like learned like I have a lot of supportive friends that I've made and relationships, and also have had help through accommodations and things in order to be able to have assistive devices help me in order to um, complete tasks like getting dressed and all these things. And I would say like even with getting dressed, which is so simple, but with a person with AMC or a person with a difference that alters like their the outside of their body or mentally are unable to like process actually getting dressed, it's a really difficult thing to be able to perform, because genuinely I have searched high and low for adaptive clothing. I've tried literally everything and nothing I feel was like truly made for me and my body. But I was able to acquire a dressing stand, and I feel like I wish I could like insert photo here, but it is it's basically like whenever you go get your car serviced and you drive up on the ramp, it's like there's like little like holes and things that like create shelves and whatever like in the shop, or like in Home Depot or Lowe's, it's like what the wood's on, the
Yeah.
metal parts. And I found that I could like put that in the ground and to the ceiling and be able to adjust hooks on that stand instead of having to always re-put them into like brick or something like that. And I have adjustable stands. And for me, I found that hooks are really helpful for me, and buttoning devices and things. But it was like a whole process and continues to be a whole process of what it looks like to be independent, because I still have someone who comes in and like helps me.
Yeah.
But I have found that it has been an incredible resource of being able to find independence in a space that allows for that. And that's really what college has been for me. And also like every student has like a journey of like figuring out like academically what they want to pursue. But I feel like I had an even more like difficult task in the very beginning of feeling like, okay, how am I going to live on my own and how am I going to figure out what I want to pursue? So it was, I mean, it is and continues to be a complete process in the making. But I think I've really found a place of like coming to peace with like it's never going to be perfect of like what my everyday life looks like of completing tasks, but also like providing hope of like it's always going to look different because my access needs and what my body can do is going to change every single day. um and learning to have like the emotional weight of that, because I feel like it's an emotional process to go through as well as something that is hard. So I've been very grateful for my time in college because my university is very small, and but it's big enough to where we have dorms and like that whole kind of vibe. But I really have had like so much support from like the disability services there, which was really important for me when picking a school. So there I could go on and on about this, but yeah, it's a complete 180 to what I thought I could be able to do when I was going into high school, into college. It's been really a positive experience.
That's awesome. And I mean, I commend you on having that kind of like twofold journey of not only trying to figure out what major that you'd like to pursue, but also kind of figuring out like the dynamic of independence, especially in the college space. Like being surrounded by so many people, it's just like I'm sure that is difficult and not an easy task, but you're doing so well. And I commend you on all that you've achieved so far.
Thank you.
Um, I do like that point that you made about searching for like assistive devices and like clothing that was made to be adaptable for people with disabilities. I do agree with you on that point. I don't know if you also agree with how some of these adaptability type of like clothing lines, they're not really made to look aesthetic, or at least for kind of like a modernized, young adult in college. It's like, I think we also like to be stylish at the same time and
Yeah.
not necessarily stick out. Have you, do you recall any um, like companies you've tried, or any recommendations that you've found along the way?
Yeah, I really was drawn to the Tommy Hilfiger adaptive line. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of like every like disabled person kind of knows about that one. But I had a friend that modeled after it. Her name is like Rebecca Marine. She's really amazing and she's an ambassador for the Lucky Finn Project.
Yeah.
And I'd met her and I got a pair of their pants. I got jeans and I got like a pair of dress pants, and they're like magnetic and like a Velcro, but they are. I was walking to the library one day and they just popped open, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I was like, this is a terrible situation to be in because like they fit me, everything was fine. Like, whatever, if they were any bigger, they would have fallen off. Like, it was like a whole process. And then, like, every time I tried to search for, even like, I mean, I know you probably don't have this problem because you're a guy, but like even like bras for women, like it was so difficult to find anything. It's like for me, I don't have upper body strength to pull anything down. And I was just like, how do I do, like what do I do? And a lot of them were made for people in nursing homes, which is like amazing, or with arthritis, but like my needs are different than a person in a nursing home or needs an arthritis. So it was just like this whole process of me just like trying to find out things, but genuinely hooks have been the best thing that I've had. And finding waistbands, the way that I do things is like I can't grip from the outside of things. Like I don't have like any like oh, you're good. I don't have
It's
any
okay.
like, you're totally good. I don't have any like grip with my hands like this, but I can like put my hand inside of something and pull it up.
Yeah.
So it's been like I have to find things that have a big enough waistband that fit my hands and my body, and then also shrink back so they don't fall off my body. It's like a whole thing. But I would say just like elastic waistbands and looking about how like things, work. But I haven't really found anything that I'm like, this is what I love. I found that I really like bras that don't have padding in them that I can pull up from my feet and over, and then like pull up over my shoulders because nothing's like rolling, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. And I don't know, I feel like I've talked to a couple AMCers about just undergarments and things like that, and it's like no one really has like something that is like completely worked. So I don't know, maybe we'll have to make it one day. I'm like at this point I'm like I don't even know. But I really found that I like maybe like oversized things because they're not doing as much rolling, but then also like there's a sweet medium of it not falling off you as well. And a lot of t-shirt dresses, it's kind of my vibe. But uh, to your point of dressing cool, I have way too many clothes and love putting everything together. Like this dress I'm wearing right now is even tucked into a pair of pants, and it's definitely a dress. It's whatever, it's fine. But also like shoes with zippers. I've one thing I really have found that I love is Nike made these shoes called Nike Fly Ease, and they make it so you can just put your foot in and they like pop up on the back. But I think they discontinued them, which is just like absolutely depressing because I've bought like every color of them, and I like them more than like a Vans slip-on shoe because they're just more supportive. Um, but I know that there's like a brand called Rothy's. I think not Rothy's. Oh, what is it called? I'll have to figure it out. I think it's affiliated with them, and they have that back of the shoe that pops up too because I just wanted more support for walking and things.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
That is super tough. And well, I relate not to like all of it, but like to a majority of like
Yeah.
finding clothing that works for, I think, all phases of life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies need to take into account that I think people with disabilities are such a huge population, like in the United States alone, that like I feel like they have a market that they can actually like create a like product line for. And I think it's something that we still need to be very vocal about. And
Hmm.
like alongside, having accommodations in public spaces. Oh, and that was another question I was going to ask. Like, when I was in college, I had to like really, really find a college that had, um, I like enough accommodative public spaces, like enough like ramps, or like did they actually have elevators? Because there was a college I used to really want to go to, but it was one of the more older establishments. It's called the University of William and Mary College in Virginia. A very prestigious school, but not all of its like spaces were so like wheelchair friendly, or like
Mhm.
disability friendly. So I was wondering how your experience in like finding a college kind of panned out.
Yeah, so my college experience of finding a college was kind of unconventional. I applied to two. And I actually had a really hard time with the ACT and state testing. That was like a huge issue for me because I had a problem where I was told I wasn't disabled enough to get more time on my like state test, like on my like college entrance exams from the college board. And that was like really crazy because like I don't know all the details, but I think there was like a scandal with them too, where like people actually like went after them and stuff because they were doing it to like a lot of people. And like they were saying, oh, like this doctor determined this about you, and they wanted like something to do with like my blood sample. And I was like, my blood sample doesn't say anything about my disability.
Exactly.
There's nothing in it that can say that. So I was very blessed to have a school where I go now, Trevecca Nazarene University in Nashville, Tennessee, where they gave me a residual ACT and they counted that as like my entrance exam because they just totally saw that there was like injustice served there. Because I really couldn't like work as fast as everyone else and I couldn't bubble everything. Like it was just like a whole nightmare.
Yeah.
Um, and it really had me like in this like limbo of like, am I smart enough to go to school? Like, what does this mean? Like, just fear because I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm like I don't know. I don't ever fret about like being determined disabled because like I know I am. I have like zero doubt in my mind that is something that is a part of my identity and something that I deal with on the everyday, and it doesn't ever really change. So I was just kind of like in a like, oh my goodness, what does this mean? But I was very grateful to have a school that was like so understanding to let me do that. So when I did that, I really like found that Trevecca was great, and for me, it was really important that their disability section was amazing, and I had a good relationship with the counselor, and that continues to be true even going into my fourth year there. But I would say like the access needs at Trevecca, like they have made some accommodations that have been helpful. Like I've spoken up when handicap doors have been broken, things like that, where I'm like, hey, like this actually really matters to me. This is really hard for me. And an accommodation that I have too is like I'm allowed to have like 15 minutes in between going to classes instead of like I think it's literally like 5 or 6, something like that. Because if I need to use the restroom, I need to be able to have my hooks in my room, and that's really important to me. And if that's happening, then I need to go to my room. I can't just use like a normal restroom like everyone else, if I'm not like wearing a skirt or something that's accessible. But I also like don't want to be held back because like we like to wear things that are fun, and like you know what I mean? Like there's some times where I need to wear pants or I, want this or I want that. And it's like really cool that they see that that's a part of like my existence and who I am. And we have a large disabled population at Trevecca, and they also are like revamping their diversity board. And before they didn't have like any disabled representation on it, and I was very like vocal of like,
Wow.
hey, like I think that this is really important. But because of like a lot of legality of like the I guess there's like a lot of like HIPAA things with receiving disability services. Obviously, like we have a different story than people who have hidden disabilities, even though they're just as valid. But it's like you can see ours, like there's no hiding it. So for me, like I had no problem of stepping forward and being like, I don't mind like talking about this because it's something that I already present as, and I shouldn't, I don't want to ignore it. So I'm excited about that in the future. But I do feel like Trevecca is making a lot of work in order to include those with differences like in the community and on the campus.
That is such a level of vulnerability um that is so admirable, because for you to be so vocal about like, hey, these are my specific needs, but it also kind of extends to the general population as well, like who deal with disabilities. Um, that like that's a hard thing to do, and I
Hmm.
admire that about you,
Thank
especially
you.
kind of spearheading that, because you were saying like there's no like disability, or at this current moment there's not like a disability like representative or anyone like that like on a board or something. Was that correct?
Yeah, yeah, we have like a diversity board, and like just as of now, that's not there. But I've, spoken my piece and they also agree. And like it's just been like a really cool relationship. Like I do really feel like my school listens, which is powerful.
I love that, because I think in order to grow, there has to be some sort of level of like challenge or at least discussion
Mm,
to be willing to make change that is positive. Um and change is not like beautiful sometimes. So I think that is so like you're basically a warrior for that. And
oh, thank you.
I think that is such a like testament to your character, especially
Thank
for
you.
people who will go to that university in the future. Just like they can kind of see like you've put like laid down that foundation for like what's needed.
Hmm. Thank you. That's very sweet.
Of course. So kind of connecting it with your project that you recently posted, or paper. Tell us a little bit about that, and how, well, from what I'm assuming, it's like kind of your experience with trying to make accommodations, a reality on like campus or just like in life in general. Did
Yeah.
that inform your paper a bit more, or like help you just like spearhead that a bit better?
Yeah, I think I definitely like I was talking to one of my friends yesterday who's able-bodied, and we were talking about my project and just talking about all of it in general because the 31st anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act just passed a couple days ago on the 26th. And it was really wild for me because it was sobering and almost healing doing a project on it, because I felt like I needed to come to peace with a lot of it, with a lot of the history of disability rights. And I also needed to just like know, because I'm studying social work, just a lot that's behind it, because I know that that will be a common conversation that I have, especially with how my body presents to people and how I want to be able to serve people. And um, I was very, very encouraged by one of my adjunct professors. We were in a policy class talking about like if we had like a certain list of laws, and what we did was we said like if we could change these to make them more friendly to the 21st century or implement them more into society, what would we do? And I was a little bit sobered to figure out that like I think it's like 2008 or 2009. There was kind of like an in between there, like when it was looked at. But ADA was again evaluated again, like revisited after it was first implemented in 1990. And I just think it's so wild because I think of access needs and I think about I'm biased in this because it is something that it is very personal to me, and I'm sure to you too, of the fact that it does. It's sobering to think about the fact that for me, my access needs change all the time, especially with technology in the 21st century. And what does it mean that I can perform the same as my colleagues or my clients can in the future, get what they need in order to be a fully functioning human being? Because for me, it's like, I don't want to settle for, having to rely on society and relying on different things for what I need. Like, I want to be able to go out there and get a job and be able to serve people and be able to love people well, but also have like health insurance and things that really matter that can tend to the fact that like I am disabled and I need more than maybe the average person. And I feel like that's just like an equal rights thing of just being able to go in and say like, well, if I am going to get from point A to point B of being able to actually be a change in society, then there has to be things implemented so that way I can have an equal playing field. And I would also argue that I feel like sometimes the equal playing field is sometimes subjective in the fact that like it's different for every single person. So like not everyone's going to win, but I feel like trying to make those changes to implement the law and make it more modern is really important. Like I think it's absolutely insane that it hasn't been revisited in so long. And then also like it was first implemented in 1990, and before that, like the institutionalization of people with disabilities was normal. And I think that that is just like so insane for me to think like somebody could be talked down to and not seen as worth as a person, and be put into a home and seen as, you know, it's just so wild to me, that that was just a normalcy. And there's like a documentary on Netflix as well about just like the institutionalization and disability rights and all these things that are happening, and like realizing that that happened so much later after the civil rights movement is just like insane to me. Insane. But I feel like as social workers, we have a responsibility to know the laws that are going to affect our clients, including, you know, I've looked at many others as well, in addition to the ADA. But
Yeah,
I obviously am very passionate about the ADA because, as well, the timeline. I just think the timeline is the most mind blowing part of it, and implementation of understanding like what does it actually look like to implement this in a society and hold people accountable to non-discrimination and people with disabilities being able to get what they need. So
sure. And I think a lot of times in that like conversation, like with policies and regulations aside, accessibility and inclusivity actually communicates, am I of worth, because if there's like a hindrance or barrier to someone with a person with a disability and they can't like access the building, like let's say for class, it's just like, oh wow, am I not equal now? So it's
mhm.
just more than just like a ramp being put up or just a regulation being established. It's about, that inherent um, quality of, am I of worth, and do I have equal rights? Am I,
Yeah,
welcome at the end of the day? And I think that is so important to realize. And I personally, I wasn't even what's it called? Aware of the timeline specifically. That's actually really mind blowing to me. Like that got me really surprised right now. And I think that that needs to be addressed even more so, because I like I have a lot of concepts in my mind right now, but
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
no, but it is really like mind blowing at how it's just so recent, but people with disabilities have existed for so long. And well, like, I feel like it's just crazy that, providing accommodations or accessibility is such a hard thing to do when it's just, it's about including people. And I feel like creating community is such an important part of just history, and like in itself too.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm very interested to see what your future holds, and like really
Thanks.
spearheading a lot of initiatives that help build community inclusivity, especially with respect to the ADA. That is just
Thank
my
you.
well, thank you for making me speechless for a second.
Oh, I love that. That's sweet. Yeah, I really love social work, and I feel like it was genuinely such a peaceful and really powerful thing that was offered to me. And it also like even plays into my songwriting and my music and everything. And honestly, I feel like there's a place for them to coexist in the same space. And I think like the world will tell you, oh, you have to pick one thing. But for me, I just don't feel like that's something that is a reality. Because I have been an advocate my entire life. I'm just learning how to do it ethically and safely and with information behind it, and with a beautiful cohort of people who support and love me. And I think that that is something like I couldn't trade for the world.
Wow. And going to like singing and songwriting, um, well, first, any new music coming up, or are you okay? Great.
I'm very excited. I have a song called Null and Void that I wrote with some of my best friends. And it's with their band featuring me. And it should be out, I believe, like September-ish. It's still a little tentative because our mixer dude, he's amazing, but he just got married. So he's moving his studio and we're like, ah, but life happens. But I'm really, really excited. And it'll be kind of like my first release since I've found my group of people that I write with all the time. They're really incredible. And I'm very, very excited.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on that. That sounds really exciting, and I
Thank
can't wait
you.
to
Thank
see
you.
it. As far as music goes, how are you kind of planning to um, combine the worlds of disability advocacy and like songwriting? Are you like wanting to like share your experiences? Are you like what is your plan for that to kind of combine those worlds?
Yeah, I feel like I love being able to, so a lot of my history and touring experiences with going to conferences and a lot of different things like that, and being able to tell my story as well as sing and offer hope. And I really feel like that's something that I really want to continue to do in this post-COVID era. Hopefully, things get more back to normal, because
Yeah.
I haven't, I mean, I've led worship and done that, but I still think like I have it in my heart in order to be able to do that more. And I really hope one day I can come speak and sing in an AMC conference. I'm like waiting, because I feel like a couple years ago we tried to make it happen and like just timing didn't line up or whatever. But I would love, love, love that. And I'm ready for it to be in person again and all of that wonderfulness. But I just feel like it's been one of those things where those two worlds can coexist, because people are like, oh, why did you write that? What is that about? What does this mean? And I'm able to kind of be able to offer that narrative like from the platform, and then be able to sing a song about it, or be able to have fun with kids and show them like, look, like just because you don't look like everyone else or you have struggles that are really difficult does not mean that you can't have joy, and be able to exist in that space with them.
That is so well, music in itself is just so powerful. I think, at least for me, it's easier to kind of relate to concepts and just life experiences when it's written in song. I feel like it's more
Absolutely.
digestible and it's an easier way to have a conversation after the fact. So I'm really excited for you and
Thanks.
sharing your story. Uh, and sharing more of your experiences, especially coming from like kind of like a college context too. Like in my life, I haven't had many people who like could relate to going through college and like experiencing a disability and going through the whole like accommodation process, since that was kind of like I was kind of like a lone wolf in that like journey of
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
like
It's
what do
really
I even
helpful.
need? It's like
Yeah,
trying to
it's
figure
really
that out.
helpful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really helpful to know like what, I don't know, that you're not alone, and that this is something that is common, and this is something that everyone has to go through. And I think the really interesting thing about disabilities is that there's not like a cookie cutter version of it. It's
Oh,
always different.
definitely. And I think that's another thing just to kind of like highlight is that every person like with AMC or even a similar condition, all of our experiences are different and all of our needs are
Mhm.
different. And maybe that is a little intimidating to like, the policymakers and anyone who is trying to create these regulations. It's just like, I think they just need to simply speak with us instead of, trying to make regulations like from
Yeah.
the get-go. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
they understand our experiences, listen to Ryan's music because she's gonna talk about it there.
Yeah, I feel like it's an honor to be, be becoming a social worker and to be coexisting in a space where I am disabled, because I think there are some really amazing disabled social worker activists actually. But I feel like it's just really cool to be able to add to the narrative.
Gotcha. So as for the future, well, I hope you'll be going to conference in Florida next year.
I hope so.
Yes, which will be really fun. But what does the future holds for Ryan? Like, do you have any big plans that you're hoping to achieve or at least manifest for the future?
Yeah, I am actually. So I'm going back to school at the end of August. And right now I'm visiting some family in Florida, which has been a really big gift. And then I'll be going back to Nashville and finishing out my last semester of classes before my big like capstone internship. And I'll also be interning. Probably I've done some domestic violence work, which has been really amazing. And I'll probably continue to do that because it's just a really incredible environment of people, and I hope to just finish my degree. Like I'm ready, and I'm probably going to just go straight into grad school, which is really exciting. So I am excited. I feel very much like life is in limbo right now just because of that. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm done, but I'm not done. Like, what does this look like? But I'm really, really excited to just be able to sit back and hopefully enjoy my semester that's a little bit more normal than the last one, with COVID regulations and stuff, and being able to just be with friends and family and make music and write. And I feel like that's really what the season's going to be about. It's just like kind of wrapping up what these past 4 years have been, and then applying to grad school, which is super, super exciting. So I'm stoked.
That is amazing. And I wish you all the all the blessings and all like just the
Thank you. Very
security
sweet.
in going into like that new journey. Not
Thank
easy,
you.
but I'm sure it's going to be very fulfilling and just very
Thank you.
just full of radiance. So overall, thank you so much for speaking with me, just providing some time to discuss a lot about disability awareness and how it's just really important. Like I've seen personally, just for people to listen to these types of stories and
Absolutely.
so thank you everyone for tuning in. Our Facebook Live will be on our website, so you can watch it if you missed it. And overall, thank you so much, Brian, for speaking with me.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best and hope
You
to see you at
too.
conference next year.
Yes. I can't wait. That'd be awesome. Yes. So great to talk to you guys. Thank you for having me.
For sure. Well, have a wonderful day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye bye.